Okay, so today we're going to be reviewing our linear relations unit, which basically goes through a bunch of different ways of interpreting different linear types of problems like graphs and equations and tables and all that kind of stuff, stories. So the first thing, this first section that I'm going to talk about is the matching with the graphs and the stories and the tables. So in this section, we're giving 4 graphs, we're given 4 stories, and we're given 4 tables here. So we're going to have to match them with the appropriate corresponding part. So on these graphs, one nice thing that these have, if you look at it, is they actually have numbers on them. So we can see exactly where they are, and that should make doing the tables a lot easier than the activity we did earlier. So for example, if we look at this graph right here, it looks like somebody is going somewhere at a constant rate, right? And then we got that flat line, which means they're not going further away, nor are they getting closer to where they started. So it is them standing still, basically. And then when it goes down, that means they're getting closer to where they started. So I would need a story that would match that. So, for example, on this one, Susie drove slowly from Winter, stopped at a rest stop, and then raced the rest of the way there. So they didn't go back the way they came. We're looking for one that talks about going back towards where they came. So it doesn't match with that one. John sprinted to his mailbox, rested, and then ran towards home. That looks like my winner right there, right? Because all of these, none of these are actually going somewhere and then coming back, except for this one. So right now, just through process of elimination, I can tell that A has to match with story F. Okay? Then, looking at this one, we have somebody that drove or went somewhere. It's drive because of that first story I read. It took them 1.5 hours, it looks like, before they got this flat spot, which means they stopped for a little bit and then they went a little bit quicker next. So I already read the one with them driving slowly went over. That could be it. Let's read the others. So during rush hour, Frank drove for 2 hours and then to the airport. So right off the bat, the 2 hours means it can't really be it because it was 1.5 hours, right? Waited for his plane and then flew to his destination. So other than the 2 hours, it looks like it matches. We'll come back to that one. Jenny stayed the night at her cousin's house. So she didn't stay at home, and this is the distance from home. So this one, just right off the bat, I know it can't be it because it would have to start somewhere other than 0. So it comes down to these two, the one that drove to Wendover and the one that drove to the airport. And it would have to be the one that drove to Wendover because they stopped at 1.5 hours, not 2. So E would match with this one, and that means G would match with this one, which means H, Jenna stayed the night at her cousin's house. Jenna invited her cousin back to her house. On the way back to Jenna's house, the girls were driven to movie theaters, watched a movie, and then walked to Jenna's house. So, yep, that matches with H. So, on the next page in your review, we have where they would match, right? So, A matched with F, B matched with E, and then C matched with G, and D matched with H. Okay? Then we're going to match them with their actual tables. So here we have the distances and what happened and all that kind of stuff. So, looking at these, first of all, I can tell this is the one that matches with the Jenna staying at her cousin's, right? Which was graph D, right? D and H, yep. So that means J has to match with these. It matches with that because this is the only one that doesn't start at home. So Jenna was the one that started away from home, right? And then came back to it. So that's why J matches with those two. Then, when we look at these other two, let's start by looking at which one stopped at 2, which looks like it is L. Because this is the one that drove slowly to the airport, and then waited for their plane, and then flew away. And that was graph C. So that means C matches with L. Okay? And then this is the only one that comes back towards where they started. So that is going to be the one that has to match with graph A. So that's K. So K would match with graph A, which means I matches with graph B. Okay, so again, I just went through, I looked at the graphs, matched them with their story, and then the tables, again, which tables match with which. If that was confusing, I know I went over that kind of quickly, but ask your teachers, we're here to help, so let us know if we can help you understand this better, if you're struggling with it. Okay.